Welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at the long-awaited tri-pack from Men of Iron Battles. So it's Men of Iron, it is Infidel, and it is Blood and Roses. This is released, it says 2019, but it came out in 2020 basically from GMT. And this is a collation of 3 previous titles. Games designed by Richard Berg, and there is a lot in this box. So this particular, so a lot of people have worked on the different stuff in this, but I know Ralph Shelton had a hand in this as well. There are a lot of battles, and they cover anywhere from like 1097 all the way up to 1485. And it's a number of battles in, English Civil War. Infidel, I believe, is from Crusader era. It's got Agincourt in it. Sorry, I know I said English Civil War. Wars of the Roses. We'll call that's very different, but it's kind of all right. Wars of the Roses. Men of Iron is kind of, so this is the Men of Iron tri-pack. It's a big series. So this is a massive 3-inch box. It is very heavy, and it is quite literally packed to the brim. So this series, it is a 2-player game. Oh, that's quite tight on there. And it is it's a tactical game. So it's a game where you'll have battle lines, trying to maintain integrity, moving, fighting, and engaging each other. So whilst it is very different from things like Great Battles of History, when you see it on a table, it's a similar looking game, although the gameplay is quite different. So we have, to start off, the rules, with a nice artwork on the front. This looks like it's about 28 odd pages. So we've got full colour with all of the units. Good chunk of text on here. Movement, line of sight, zones of control, shock. Right, so things like shock combat, there's some familiar concepts. They play out differently in this one. Rallying units and special rules. Looks like that is pretty much all rules. There's a couple optional bits and pieces and an index at the back. So those are the rules for kind of this series. So, then we have the battle book for Men of Iron. And you'll see there's also a battle book for Infidel. And there's also a battle book for Blood and Roses. I believe Blood and Roses, so it's volumes 1, 2, and 3 of the Men of Iron series. If you're interested or want to dip your feet in, we played the Battle of Wakefield, which was in one of the C3I issues in the past couple of years. That was neat and is a really good way to decide yes or no, do I want to get this? Good way to dive in. It's from C3I 31, and they actually have on the side a little advert for it. If you're on the fence, I'd recommend trying this out. That's where we started. We really liked it. And Grant was looking around, and he was really interested in the Infidel, because the Crusades is a very fascinating topic for us. And, lo and behold, this was coming out, so I was like, okay, we waited, because I think we played that almost 2 years ago now. Maybe even longer. And so we finally kind of got this, and this is where I want to dive in. So Men of Iron has a bunch of different battles in it, from Agincourt, Bannockburn, but the battle book has in it all of the different setups, little pieces of history, all the deployments, and it has it in pictorial format, which, thank goodness, I'm very glad that they do that these days. They've done that in like the new SPQR as well for GBOH, but when it's long lines of units and the differences are very small on the counters, it's nice to have it in pictorial format, because then you just set it up. It's much easier to set it up for my brain, at least, especially when I'm new to the game. So that's the there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 battles in that one for Men of Iron. That's very exciting. Then we have the Infidel, And I don't know much about any of these battles, but this is something that we're very interested in diving into. But again, it's the same format. Antioch, Ascalon, Haran. But yeah, it's the same thing. Everything's pictorial setup. Everything's divided up into presumably different sub-formations and army makeup. And then Blood and Roses. So I don't think this includes Wakefield. It does not. But if you play Battle of Wakefield, it uses this system and it's in this period, 1455 to 1487. So this has also this is a lot bigger, even though it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 battles. This one feels a bit bigger than that one. Yeah, that Infidel one's like 28 pages. This is like 36. But again, same thing. This is Wars of the Roses, so this is York versus Lancaster, Richard III, Henry VII, and all that. So this is exciting. This is a period that I'm interested in, mostly because of my background with reading Shakespeare. So now we come to the counter sheets. And remember, this is effectively 3 games in one. So for the price, this is a lot of game. And there is 8 counter sheets in this. I guess it's 7.5, okay. But the counters, as you kind of might expect from if you've played any GBOH games or you know, Great Battles of American Civil War, it's here's a unit, and it has a bunch of different values on it, and that's its unit type and a couple values. So there's one of those. And okay, we're going to be careful because these are typically organized quite well on the sheets. So that's what I'm going to recommend. When you punch these, don't just punch them willy-nilly like I'm about to. Just to show you, if I just poke these punch out very easily. These are the thick grey core counters. So, as such, it's not perfect, but they're much, much better at not having to clip these. You can play them just like this, and the corners are less obnoxious. They don't clump together. So I give credit where that's due. So it's just a little bit easier there, I think. So that's one of the sheets, and everything else is full counter sheets. And there's a lot. Okay. But you can just see the nice quality unit types. And then on the back, is that a reduced side? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, these have different modifiers on the back. But yeah, there's 7.5 counter sheets. This is not something to balk at. We have our archers there, which are very, very nice. And you'll see these have a background color to them, which denotes the country, like their faction, so to speak. But then you also have, like, these have a red band, these have a green band. That's the formation, and then they'll have a corresponding green leader, for example. So it is about, you know, command structure, unit activation, and all that. But there is a lot of cardboard in this. So we will definitely be needing lots of bags, maybe trays. This is almost too many to have trays with. It's almost pointless. So I think what I will try to do is try to organize this by battles, if possible. Usually they reuse units, which we'll kind of see if we can collate them, or if there's an optimal way to do this. But because a bunch of these games have been out for a while, and this is kind of an amalgamation of all of them, there's probably good direction. Someone online's already done it. Someone online has already put together a guide of how to organize and install these. So now we have the kind of admin counters here. So we have different retired and engaged markers, and then some other units up here and leaders. But yeah, it's we're not going to pretend like it's not. It's a lot of counters, and these are they're the kind of the smaller ones. If I can show you here, these seizure markers are the larger size, and you can see here, those are the big ones, and then the units are these little small ones, which for most of the battles, everything's stacked one unit high, so it's not obnoxious, so don't be too worried. There's a lot of counters because there's a lot of battles. That's really what you have to understand. It's not like there's an ungodly amount of units on each map. It's usually not the case. So there are a ton of maps in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maps, all of which are going to be back printed. We're going to look at these here in just a second. Let's get to okay. This is all of our paper and cardboard. So we've got our Men of Iron play aids, and these are identical for both players. They're bifolds. So it has all of your different, this is your weapon matrix. So for example, if you have, these longbowmen, these English longbowmen, and they're going up against French pikemen, well, what's the combat modifier for the attacker? Oh, well, this is defender against attacker, so it's gonna, so we'd want it to be defense. It gives you a modifier to that shock combat, and this is where you get a modifier to your regular attack combats and things like that. It looks like they have terrain charts for each of the different battles, because not all of them are the same, and maybe weather conditions would change one thing from another. Let's see, a village is 3-2, 32 minus 2 minus 2, whereas a village over here in Creasy is 4-2. So, there's some nuance there as well, which is nice, that they built that into it. And then your fire resolution tables, range tables, die roll modifiers, charging, counter-charging. And again, there's 2 of those, that's Men of Iron. Same thing for Infidel, both going to get bifold. And again, you can see the weapons matrix entirely different from Men of Iron, for example. Infidel, same thing, all of our terrain modifiers for the different battles inside. And on the back are different combat tables and DRMs. And then for Blood and Roses, ooh, this is a trifold. Looks like there's just more. The tables are bigger, and there's a few more exceptions and modifiers and rules for all of those. Couple extra rules, couple extra tables. It looks like. So that's for those. And then it looks like this is Universe. No, this is Men of Iron. This is Infidel. Okay, so flight point tracks. This is how many flight points you take before you route, basically. You have a general track as well. And then it looks like there's flight limits for each of the different battles. Then this is single-sided. The one for Infidel is double-sided because it also has Blood and Roses on the back as well. So that's all the different play aids. You got 2 D10 in a little baggie here. And that looks like it is it. So there wasn't any bags in here or any trays. I'm pretty sure that's the case, unless Grant pilfered them before he handed this to me, which could have happened, but I don't think so. Alright, so let's take a look at the maps here real quick. We'll start here with, what do we got? So this is Agincourt. Obviously this is a very small one. So we're going to have the English behind their lines with longbowmen, and the French. They're going to be outnumbering us, and we're going to see how that plays out. This is single-sided. This is a small little map. Probably a good place to start, just from a volumetric standpoint. So probably I would recommend to start there, just with something small and easy, so you're not getting unwieldy whilst you learn the system. Okay. And this is what I is kind of alluding to when we talked about the comparison with Great Battles of History, right? You fight a big pitched open battle in a big open space where possible, right? That way you can field your army. And this is from Infidel. This is Crusader Kingdom of Antioch and Edessa. So you know, it's a more barren terrain that they're fighting in here. At the back we have two battles. We've got Battle of Bosworth, which if you've read any Shakespeare or any history, you know what happens there. A horse, my kingdom for the horse. And then we got Tewkesbury here as well. So this is two, and these are obviously, this is a smaller map than the other one, so these are smaller battles. But these are very, what you would expect, that heavy GMT paper. So these are good quality maps. Here we've got, on this side, another large one. It's probably, this is also, this one I think is from Men of Iron, but I could be wrong about that. Big open space, and on the corners we've got these hills which look like they're covered in either scrub or rocks. I'm not entirely sure, looks like it's rough terrain, so it's probably rocky. There's one in each corner, and we have a very small marsh in the middle, but I imagine we'll have big battle lines going on. On the back, again, we've got two battles here. We've got Battle of Falkirk here, big old marsh and swamp in the middle. And then down here we've got Bannockburn. This looks, and these obviously have a lot more terrain on them. It's very nice looking. I like shades of green, so this looks quite nice to me. I like the aesthetic of that. So this is where you're navigating a bit more terrain, so to speak. These larger battles, where it's open plains, the terrain is, whilst important, it's more of a sideshow, and it's more about your battle lines, keeping those together. You're able to focus on that a bit more. We got Battle of Crecy over here. And then we got Poitiers down here. This is the blue one, so is this? I think this is Men of Iron. I'm not, I think this is Men of Iron. And then the red one, well, I'm not sure. Brown, I'm not sure what the, oh, let me open this up. This one is, oh no, I don't want to break my maps. Here we go. This looks like a very cool one. We have the Mediterranean down here with a nice beach. We got a little fortified town of Arsa. Big open space, we're going to fight battle, but we've got a big forest over here and then a marsh over here. So this looks like we could get some pretty interesting tactical bits and pieces going on. So this looks cool. Okay, and we've got Battle of Blore Heath. Very plain looking heath. We've got a river going through the middle on a nice road, but we're going to be fighting out in the open here. And the Battle of Barnet. Battle of Barnet, just outside London. This one looks like it's on a big hill. So I don't know if we'll be coming up the hill or if we're just going to fight on the hill and then run away, or how much we're going to have to deal with the actual elevation there. If you look at the map, yes, that was the map. Okay, and this is the last map. Battle of Toten over here. Again, this is large empty space. We've got a couple roads. Not much else. However, St Albans, we have this large hill and we've got St Albans on the hill. So this one's going to be probably something very interesting, something very, very different. Because this is, a big town, there's a fortified ditch with bridges. So we'll see how this plays out. This could be something very, very interesting. Almost looks like a map out of Combat Commander, even though it's not. And then on the other side, we got a couple of battles. We got Antioch. So you can see the outskirts of the city of Antioch. We're going to fight outside. We got the old Crusader camp down here. And then Ascalon here in southern Palestine. Looks like we have a big Fatimid camp here. Ascalon's over here. And the plain of Ashard. So we're going to probably fight here. I don't know if this is some kind of, we're trying to ambush the camp, or if this just happened to be where they pitched outside to defend the city, and we're just going to fight here. So very, very cool. This style of game is something that was always, I don't know if it was intimidating, but it was something that more recently, in the past couple of years, we've played some of these and started to really like this style, just because it gives a very different, you just get a different feeling out of it. It plays differently and make you concentrate on different things versus a lot of, playing a lot of World War II, for example. The warfare is, it plays out in a very different style, and it's enjoyable to engage with that. And this, because of how much you get with it, is, almost a no-brainer. If you want to engage with any of these periods, and they do cover quite a long piece of history, then this is the place to start. But that's everything that you get in here. We will play more of this. We did play and review Battle of Wakefield, so if you want to see a bit more about how the system works, go and watch that video. It's from C3I31. But this is Men of Iron Tri-Pack, which includes Men of Iron, Infidel, Blood and Roses, designed by the late Richard Berg, just put out by GMT. So appreciate you guys watching. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.